Today, we're going to be tasting and bottling our doctor's orders mead. So, how is our doctor's orders Methaglyn mead? On 12/26, we started this mead, and it was at a 1.090. On 1/9, we got down to a 0.999. Awesome. So it's basically done. At that stage, we racked it, gave it some time to clear, and added a little bit of vanilla extract to bring a little bit of sweetness without backsweetening this particular mead. So the first thing we're going to want to do today is rack this off into a pitcher. Now this is something you've seen me do a million times, but essentially what I'm going to do is take an auto siphon, leave the cap on the bottom, get yourself a little wet because this was just sanitized and is now covered in sanitizer. Untangle it a little bit because that's going to be a pain in the butt. All right, one side goes into the pitcher, the other side goes into the fermenter itself. And the whole process to this is we want to get the liquid from this vessel into this vessel without introducing a whole lot of air to it. So we're going to give it a couple of good pumps. Let it sit to the bottom. And it should do the work for you. It's a gravity feed. So as long as this vessel is higher than this vessel, we shouldn't have any issues. So now we have the mead in a pitcher. The reason I like to do this is it gives us a little bit more room to work with the mead. I want to stir it a little bit. Now, I'm stirring it carefully, and I'm only stirring it to see if there's a lot of gases still left in here. If there is, I might keep stirring it and try to get some of the gases out, but there's really not much in here. I can tell already. It smells wonderful. Like, I really do get that lavender, and I get the spices. It's a really cool mead. It went crystal clear. Like, without using a chemical agent such as sparkaloid, I haven't seen many meads get clearer than this, unless you give them a lot more time, maybe cold crash. But on its own, it went really nice. And I think we need to taste it. Now, tasting is super important. You made this brew, so you're going to want to make sure it has your quality assurance on it before you bottle it. And I think we're going to bottle today. I also want to point out, when I racked, this was how much was left over in this particular brew. For secondary fermentation, that's not a lot of loss. And really, when it comes to the loss at the end of your brew, you just have to deal with it. There's really no magical way around it. Every time you rack your brew, you're going to lose a little bit of volume. It smells wonderful. Oh yeah. It's spicy, a little florally. It's really just a nice balance. There's a little bit of citrus in here, although, yeah, I'm pretty sure I added some orange peels in this one. This tasting is important because, yes, you want to taste your meat along the way, but also, I am planning on bottling this. And this is where you'd have to ask those questions. Am I okay with the body in this meat? Is it thick enough? Does it hit the right spaces? In which this case, yeah, it's definitely thick enough. Is it sweet enough? Now, this is intentionally a dry mead. I like dry meads, and I try to keep mine on the drier side. If you wanted to sweeten this at this stage, you would have to use a non-fermentable sugar, such as erythritol or allulose, which both will not kick up a fermentation, or you're going to want to sweeten it with your sweetener of choice and then pasteurize the batch before bottling. Or you can bottle and then pasteurize, whichever method is best for you. However, if you're just going to go from here to bottles, there'll be no pasteurization needed, and there'll be no adjuncts needed right now. But that's my brew. That's the way I made it today. your mileage may vary even on the same brew, because what I find really tasty, you might think you need a little bit of sweetness. So that's on you. But no, I like it. I could drink a couple glasses of this, no problem. Hell, I could probably drink a bottle of this with no problem, but I digress. So the next thing we're going to want to do is bottle our mead. Now, I have a video on bottling mead, so I'm going to link that into the description, and I'm going to get back to you as soon as this is done getting put into bottles. Now, I got 4 full bottles and 1 little over half a bottle. And what's cool is I found these metal screw caps online that just happen to fit my bottles perfectly. And I have quite a few bottles that no longer have a cap associated with them. Just in between washing and using them, the caps break, or you lose them, or they accidentally get thrown out. And that can be problematic because then you have a bottle with no cap. And I guess I could try corking these, but it would still look silly. And it was cool to find these caps. The other thing I like about them is they come in different colors. So like I could put the gold ones on doctor's order, and that's how I would kind of know. Besides just the label, when I'm looking into the box, I'll see the different color caps. Just one of my systems. I have many other ways in which to know what brews are what. But after a while, you start to collect quite a few brews, especially if you make them regularly. So it's nice to have a quick way to say, okay, that box is that box is that, or that box has a mixture of A and B, without actually picking up each bottle and reading the label to figure it out. And even so, I'm sure in a year from now, I'll find a gold capped bottle and be like, what was that again? And have to pick it up and try to think about it. But still, cool. Now, as far as this bottle goes, I wouldn't store this one. There's too much headroom. It's probably going to oxidize with that much headroom in it and not be the best. These, I can store exactly how they are. Basically, my rule is, does it go into the neck of the bottle? And as long as it goes into the neck of the bottle, which is what my bottle and wand allows me to do, then they're good to go. We'll see no issues. This one I'm going to put in the fridge, and I'm probably going to drink it over the next couple of days just to clear it out, get rid of it. All right, so let's actually taste this brew. When you swirl it, it has decent legs, which means the lines that run on the side of the bottle. When I smell it, I don't smell the vanilla, but I smell that lavender. It comes out really nicely. And it definitely smells some of the spices, like the cinnamon, the clove, the star anise. They come out. It's really nice. Before I take a sip, I want to say clarity-wise, it's crystal clear. I can see straight through the glass. So I'm pretty happy with that. The lavender from the tea comes through. It's the first thing you get. It basically coats your mouth. And not in like a perfume way. It's not like breathing in a waft of perfume and being like, no, nothing like that. It's really like a nice calming flavor. And then it almost blankets and then introduces a little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of clove, a little bit of star anise. The star anise lingers. So I almost finish with the honey note and that licorice note you get from star anise. If you don't like licorice, you might want to back off on the star anise. I happen to like it, so I find that very pleasant. Again, your mileage may vary, so you want to be conscientious of it when you're doing this. Yeah, this is a nice, drinkable, crisp almost, I'd say, mead. Don't know that I would want to have it with a meal. Like sitting down, eating a meal, and drinking this on the side, I almost think would be too much because the spices from the mead are going to affect the flavors of the food you're eating. Unless you're eating something that's heavily spiced, but even then, I just feel like they might not be an A and B correlation. This is more like an after dinner, sitting down, talking with your friends, having a conversation, maybe watching your TV, and you pour a glass of this, and you just sit back and you relax, and you appreciate it for everything it is, because it's very complex. It has so many different layers, and each layer just gives a little something, and they come and they go almost in waves. With age, if you let this age another 6 months, I think a lot of those waves are going to start to blend together even more. But as it is, it's quite enjoyable. Really good. And really nice that it's a mead that's only maybe 2 months old now. And I'm enjoying it at this depth. We'll have to do tasting again in a few months and see how it changes it. But as of right this second, I couldn't be happier with the result of it. If you enjoyed today's video, please go ahead, give me a like. If you try this recipe, please let me know in the comments. Also, leave me any questions, comments, or concerns, because if you are making a brew and you have any questions about how it's going, I'd be more than happy to give you my 2 cents and let you know how I would do something or what I would do differently, or maybe even help you out with something you might be wondering. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to this channel. By subscribing, you'll be notified every time I have a brand new video, and that's a pretty fun thing. And until next time, guys, I'm Phil. This is Phil with Facts, and cheers.